are here for lunchtime vinyasa. So we'll do a flow class. We'll start seated in whatever way is comfortable for you. So if you prefer to sit up on a folded blanket or something like that, you're welcome to do that. And then let yourself find a way to just kind of center your mind. My favorite way is to pay attention to the breath. So for you, it might be just feeling your body in space. Just notice the rhythm of the breath coming and going, or notice the little differences that there might be in the way your body is feeling. Sometimes you have a lot to do, you don't really pay attention. When you come home to your body, you notice, oh, there's a little tenderness in one shoulder, or I feel a little tinge of tension around my jaw, that sort of thing. So just come home. Try to relax a little bit through the face and the shoulders. Drop your chin and just let the head sort of hang without folding forward from the waist or the spine. And then roll your head up and over one shoulder and up and over the other. And as long as that feels okay, just go back and forth. If there's a spot that feels a little more, like it needs a little longer stretch, you can pause and give that spot a little extra love. Go at a pace that seems appropriate to you. Both sides, come back to the center, and then we're going to let the head float back up so it's in a pretty neutral position. Chin is level. Take the shoulders, go up, push them back and bring them down. Just roll through the shoulders. When you get to the bottom, go the opposite direction. So I kind of squeeze them together, then bring them up and then stretch them apart. And then let your arms settle, and we're going to do a little bit of work for the wrists. So just give your wrists some spins. Go the other direction if you haven't already. And then you're going to sort of flex back, okay? So you can just do that through the wrist, or if you want to hold on to the hand, you can do it that way. Both sides. And we're going to do the opposite, so we're going to stretch the top of the forearm. And again, you can do that just by folding at the hand, or you can add a little bit of extra pressure there. I like to be mindful of that. Wrist is kind of an area where it's mostly bones, connective tissue, and nerves. So I want to be mindful in that area. All right, so then stretch your hands out nice and big and squeeze them in nice and tight. Stretch them out. Squeeze them in. We're going to try to get these middle finger, ring finger, pinky finger. So as you stretch out your hands, see if you can relax the index finger and thumb, and instead stretch through those three littler fingers, and then bring them in, and then stretch through those three littler fingers, and then give the whole hand a nice big stretch. I find my thumb will try to take over, and I don't get that release in this back part of the hand if I don't kind of focus on that area. All right, so we're going to come up to all fours. Once you get here, you can take your back through these little flexion and extension moves that people might call cat or cat-cow. Feel all the little joints. See if you can get movement in every little joint in your spine. ourselves to sort of what feels like neutral, so the back of the neck feels neutral and got a little bit of a sense that your navel is lifting. And then we're going to take the tailbone and the head to the left and stretch out the right side of the rib cage, and then tailbone and head to the right, stretch the left side of the ribs, and just go back and forth. Now I have a tendency to lift my chin. I'm going to try to keep my chin level while I do this so that I'm not turning at the neck, but while really focusing in at the ribs. Okay, one more time on the right side, or whatever side was your last side. And then we're going to do a little twist for the shoulder. So I take my knees a little bit wide, and almost like I'm going to go into child's pose, I'm going to put one arm underneath me, and then settle the hips a little bit back. Now you can bring your hips forward if that feels better. I just like there to be a little less weight towards my neck. And then for me, it helps to take this top arm and straighten it out to kind of let my shoulder dig into the floor a little more. You could wrap your arm over your back if you'd rather. Or just let the arm rest. So you're kind of stretching back into the shoulder of this arm that's on the bottom. And one more breath here. And then we're going to come back to the center. Ooh, free that arm, give it a little shake. And we'll do the opposite side. So again, I'm going to take the arm underneath. Send my hips a little bit towards that child's pose side of things, a little less forward, a little more back. And then add the extra stretch if you like it. And then breathe. One more big breath. And then we'll come back out. Pause for a moment. Give yourself a little child's pose if you like. And then when you're ready, we're going to come into downward facing dog. Now, downward dog is not your jam. You can either substitute an all fours position for it, or you can come to a standing position and you'll just sub in that. Okay, so if you're going to come to downward dog, shoulder distance apart with the hands, and then we're going to do some movement once we're here. So a little shoulder action, kind of find yourself so that the shoulders feel the most engaged, and then work through the legs. Get your heels a little closer to the ground. They don't have to touch. You just want that stretch in your calf muscles. And sometimes if they touch, you miss out. All right, then we're going to walk this whole thing together. And once you're hanging upside down, give your wrists a little rinse one more time. And then we're going to come up halfway. Feel the back lengthen out. Exhale, fold. Now bend your knees for a moment, and then if they'll go straighter, go for it. Feel that stretch in the backs of your legs. And then we'll come up halfway. And exhale, fold. And again, see how that goes. And then we're going to come all the way up to standing. Give yourself a nice big stretch. So, here we are. Now, I start by spreading out my toes and feeling myself anchor down into all the little bony places in my foot. So the heel and the big bone under my big toe, and then right under my little toe, and trying to feel the arches in my feet so that I can feel this sense of kind of the springiness that our feet are naturally inclined toward. Now, a lot of us, because of shoes and working largely on hard surfaces, or, you know, we paved most of the world at this point, in the West anyway. And so my feet kind of, I think, have lost a little bit of that lift, that spring. So I want to try to get back in touch with that sense of resiliency that's provided by my foundation here, my feet. There are metaphors there, but I'll leave those for you to pick up. So we're going to let the shoulders relax and just feel yourself suspended here between the heavens and the earth, connected to your breath in this moment. So I'm going to take a nice big breath. Now you can sweep your arms out to the side. I've got plants, so I'm going to come straight up the center. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, fold. Now we're going to step back into down dog. And at this point you have some choices. So you can hold down dog. You can stay with that forward bend instead of stepping back if that was better for you. Or you can come into a plank. You can modify it if you like. And then you can add the little vinyasa sequence of lowering down, coming into a back bend, I like cobra, and then coming back to down dog. You might want up dog, that's fine too, okay? So then we're gonna take a nice big breath, lift that right leg up. Exhale, bring the knee in, curl up around it. Inhale, stretch it back. Bring it in, curl up around it. Stretch it back. Give yourself a sink through that left heel if you can. Release your neck. And then we're going to step that foot forward. Now, if you can't go straight up the middle, go out to the side and then bring it back. And then we're going to swing the heel around so we can come up for warrior two. Now, don't worry about how your feet line up with your feet. Worry about how your legs and your hips feel together, okay? So we're going to point this knee directly forward. And then with that hip then, resting in such a way that this leg does not collapse inward, but the inner thigh can hold us, then we adjust the back leg so that the hips feel good, right on? So if it needs to go forward or backward a little bit, you just get your hips in a place that feels nice. Now you can rotate your ribs so your arms wind up over top of the leg, but that for me reduces some of my ability to stretch backwards. So I just let my hips and my torso work together and don't worry about the angles. So we're going to come into side angle and reverse warrior. Reverse, and then side angle, give it a good stretch. And reverse, and again this side. Stretch it back, and then reverse. And then we're going to come all the way back. We're going to straighten out this front leg and come into triangle. Now you can come into triangle all kinds of different ways. So you pick your way. And we're going to do a little bit of work for our neck. So right now I've got my arms sort of resting here. I'm going to get length in my spine first. I'm going to make sure my chin isn't lifting too much. I've got a nice neutral neck. Now you can look down at your big toe, or you can follow the arm with your eyes. So we're going to drop the arm down and bring it all the way around, and as I go, I'm keeping my shoulder lined up. Okay, so I might let the shoulder fold forward, and then rotate through my torso. Come down, rotate through the torso to open that up, and then one more time, rotating open. Now hold steady, and you can look up at your thumb or down at your toe, whatever your neck likes better, and stretch. Take one more breath. Beautiful. So we're going to bend this front knee. We're going to make this into a balancing pose. So first things first, I got to get my left leg off the ground. So I can spring forward maybe once or twice. I've got my hands on some blocks. You could put your hands on the floor. And then that might be enough for one day. If you can take your left arm off the ground and stretch open without causing any damage to your furnishings, try that. Whoop. Nice big stretch. Woo. If it falls apart, catch. And then we'll step it back into down dog. And then feel that pose. Is there a difference on your right side versus your left? And then you can add that vinyasa coming into plank, or just hold this down dog for a moment. Okay, so we all come back to down dog. We're going to take that left foot up. So we go up, bring it in, take it back, bring it in, take it back, give it a big stretch. We're going to bring it in and step it forward, and then adjust your way into your warrior two. I like to get a little dramatic. So my right hip and my left hip are a little different. So I always need to readjust for the right side. And then let yourself stretch into these beautiful, elegant shapes. And feel all the nice stretchiness. All the nice space it makes. Good, one more time. And then we're gonna turn this into triangle. We'll get there. And again, start by getting all the length, right? Put my hand there, so I don't have to worry about my arm yet. Find the position in the neck that feels nice. Then I'm gonna sweep my arm up and try to rotate through the torso, right on? Sweep it down, sweep it up, sweep it down, sweep it up, sweep it down. I went a little too far that time. Sweep it up, now hold steady. Deciding where your head should go. Sometimes you got tension or little places where you sleep on things a little funny. So work with your body. One more breath. And then we're gonna take that balancing pose. Let's see how it goes. Get your right leg in the air. Whee! Maybe all that happens is you hold with both hands. Maybe it would be okay to whee! Stretch open. It's a little playful, these poses. Last breath. And then we're gonna step back into down dog. All right. So we're gonna come all the way forward into a plank. And everybody together, we're gonna wind up laying on the belly. Now you wanna add a few push-ups or something, go for it. And then come down here with us. All right, so we're gonna spread the palms out nice and wide. Put the hands near the shoulders. I like to line them up about with the chest muscles. Now, that being said, we're gonna use our back muscles and not our arms for this sequence of cobras. So press the legs into the ground, make them longer, use your back muscles, lift. Now if I took my hands off, they'd be fine, right? I'd still be lifting. But what I get to do is bring my shoulders back and broaden out my collarbones. Come on back down. Slide your hands a little bit further back. And we'll do it again. Lift. Yep, pull the shoulders wide. Little release around the neck. Come on back down. Now, we're gonna come up to a sphinx. I like my elbow a little bit forward and slightly closer in than shoulder distance. It creates the best structure so that my neck muscles aren't holding on in a funny way and my traps aren't being driven up toward my ears, okay? So now reach through the legs and press down into the ground with your legs. Use your glutes to make length in your low back. And then we're gonna drop the chin and then just swing that chin up and over, sort of like we did earlier, but now in a slightly different pattern, right? Because we're in a different position with the upper body. And then bring the chin up and over, and come back. Chin up and over to the left, and back. Chin up and over to the right, and back. Now we're gonna bring the chin up and over to the left, and then we're gonna take this right arm and bring it out to the side, almost like a upside down goalpost. And then we're gonna draw that right shoulder blade down, and then the neck I'm gonna let just stay kind of turning towards that left shoulder. Beautiful, come on back to the Sphinx. I'm gonna do the same thing going the other way, but I'm not quite ready yet. Can you feel a difference in your two sides of your neck? So we're gonna swing the head so that my chin is close to my right shoulder. Left arm comes out, sort of like that upside down goalpost. And then I'm gonna pull my left shoulder blade down and in. And I'm not really straining with my neck. I'm letting my neck stay stable, but I can definitely feel things here. Last breath. And then I'm going to bring myself back to space. And then we'll come back to child's pose from here. And just take a moment with your forehead resting on the floor and just wobble back and forth a little bit. Releasing some tension from the brain with some deep sighs. So we're going to come to a pigeon pose. Now, I'm going to show you 3 different iterations of this. The first iteration is taking one leg. I'm going to do the right leg first, forward. So downward dog is a good way to kind of get into here, but you can do it other ways. So you bring the right leg forward, the left leg goes back as far as it's willing to go back, so that you're settled into this pigeon pose, and it's quite a stretch. So this one might not be the right one. So the second option is to do this in a seated position. So you lean back, one leg up on top of the other, okay? And this one can be a little bit wrist tricky, so that one's not right. The last option is to do this on your back. Start with your leg in this position, and then you can add on. If this is enough, and you feel lots of sensation in your hip and butt cheek region over on this right side, then don't do anything else. But you can bring this leg in. Now be mindful here, because there's a tendency to try to over torque the knee. So let the lower leg bone stay in relationship to the femur. To do that, I flex my foot firmly so that it locks these 2 bones into place, and then I make sure that I'm holding my femur bone. And then you let this other leg stretch out, reach out through your left leg. And this gets the closest to the pigeon pose on the belly, right? It's not as strong, so if that area is very tight for you, this is a good alternative. We still get this length on the front of the hip. So we're going to take 3 more breaths. I'm just going to stay here since this is where I landed. Big breath. Now, if you're in the regular pigeon, you're going to lean into your bent leg hip, and the left leg's going to come around on top. If you're with me and you're either seated or on your back, we're going to let go here, sit up, and bring the left leg around, okay? Now, I'm going to cross my left leg over the front of my shin. Some people can put their left leg over the right thigh. The problem is if your hips wind up, so that you could squeak a couple of small furry creatures underneath this butt cheek, or a couple of books, or something like that, then your spine is already busy and it's not going to twist well. You want both sit bones on the floor, lift up nice and tall, not just through your breastbone, which forces your rib cage forward, but also through the back of the skull. So we're getting an even lift. Then we're going to rotate to the left. Now don't move your head yet, but try really hard, grab hold of something. You can grab your leg or the floor, whatever you got. Try hard to get a little taller, and then just spin your belly button. Now, just the shoulders, right shoulder forward, left shoulder back, okay? So now we've got a nice twist in the shoulder girdle. Now float your head around the rest of the way. So we've got the twist built from the bottom to the top, and nice and tall and lanky through the spine. It feels good this way. If it feels like it's too much, back off. And then breathe. And again, the goal is not to get your arm in a particular position or look really cool, unless you're getting your picture taken for the cover of Yoga Journal magazine, in which case you should definitely look cool. But if you're like me and you're just practicing yoga in your house, it's not about aesthetics. It's about how it feels, and having your sit bones rooted and a beautiful, elegant twist in your spine feels better. Take a nice big breath. And then we're going to unwind this head, shoulders, and the rest. Right on? Oh. Now, it should feel like you came out of something, but it shouldn't feel painful or cranky or sore. So notice, like, how does your spine feel? And for me, if I do a twist just right, there's this really sort of lightness and energy to being in the twist. Oh. So we're going to do the pigeon on the other side. So you can do the left leg forward, right leg back, belly toward the floor, or you can do the seated version, or you can follow me into the reclining version. So again, we start here so that we can test it out, and then draw the leg in, flex the foot, hold the thigh, stretch the leg out. And if the other one works better for you, do one of the other versions, it's okay. This is a good version for almost anybody, as long as you can lay on your back, you're golden here. And for me, my right side is tighter. I don't know if you can see that visually, but I can definitely feel it. So as I'm reaching through my right leg, there's a little bit more lift there because the hip flexors are a little bit tighter on that side. And so this gives me both the hip flexor stretch on the right side and this great outer hip stretch on the left. With not any real, as long as I'm mindful of the knee joint and these two bones in relationship to my thigh bone, I'm going to be okay here. Just mind your knee. And just breathe for a little bit, about 3 more deep breaths. I find on my exhales, I can get just a little bit more length into my stretch. Let go a little bit on the inhale, and then on the exhale, work that stretch again. So again, we're going to take that right leg and bring it around on top. So depending on which version we did, we'll wind up with the legs in position. So again, get both sit bones nicely rooted. Legs are as twisted as they can get to make that happen. Sit up tall, both the back of the skull and the breastbone. Then we're just going to turn the belly button, put your hands down somewhere. And then just a wee bit more tall. I'm not moving the head yet. Tall, a little more in the belly button if it's available. Now, right shoulder's going to go backwards, left shoulder's going to move forward, still with the head in the middle. Sit up a little taller, and then turn your head all the way around to your right side. Sometimes I find these weird little things, like my left leg was just lifting up to try to help me, so I'm going to put that back down. Try to get a little more elegant. And then breathe, yogis. Notice a difference in the way your lungs expand when you're in a twist. Ones expand a little differently than the other. Mine do. Last big breath here. And we're going to unwind neck, shoulders, rest of the back. All right. Unwind your legs. Give yourself a little rinse out in the shoulders and in the spine. So we're going to end with a forward bend. Now, from here, you could then go launch into the rest of your day, or if you have a few extra minutes, you can just lay down and take a few minutes, or sit in meditation and take a few minutes to yourself. But for our last minute or so, we're going to do a forward bend. Now, you can do this arrangement where the legs kind of make a butterfly wing shape. You can do this arrangement where the legs are closer together but straight. Or you can do this arrangement where the legs are out wide in a V. I'm feeling the butterfly wing shape today. And then if you have some tenderness, you can put like a little block underneath each knee, or you can put a pillow underneath each knee to give yourself a little bit of structure to help hold your knees. Now I do this. I lift each sit bone up and fold a little more, fold a little more, fold a little more. Do that about 3 times. I keep this fairly loose and with the legs, and then I'm going to add some action to my pose. So again, I'm going to lengthen the back of my neck and my breastbone forward or up so that I'm feeling length in the spine. And then I'm going to use my outer hips and thighs to try to draw my thigh bones toward the floor. I'm letting my feet open like they're a little book to read. And this is my pose for today. You can make this a more relaxed pose, it's just this was kind of a class where things are a little more exciting. So we'll hang out here for about 4 more breaths. Big old breath. Hold that air in, come all the way up. Give everything a bit of a jiggle. And this is where you could either go to lunch, lay down, do a little meditation. Thanks for joining me for some lunchtime Vinyasa yogis. Hopefully you feel a little better, a little like your day has been, had a little nice little break. Let's take a breath together. Big sigh. Namaste, beautiful yogis. Have a great day.